I'm Elise Fostro, the Student Government Executive Board President. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you tonight's guest speaker. Our guest speaker tonight has been teaching for 12 years. Her commitment to her craft is demonstrated daily in her teaching and interaction with students. She has a passion for education and a love of all students at Bradford High School. Ms. Snyder has been our class sponsor and a rock for our class. We are forever grateful for all you have done for us. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker tonight, the amazing Miss Nickie Snyder.
Like I'm about to throw up.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Okay, so I have to say that when it was first suggested that I do this a few months ago, I was unbelievably flattered. I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of a compliment, right? But then it started to feel more like a curse. Really, I mean, what was I gonna say to you? Me, a 40-year-old teacher, well, almost 40, I have a few more years to go. Okay? But what could I possibly have to say that would mean anything to you? And I agonized over it. I agonized over it for days and weeks and months, and finally, I had this long conversation with my grandmother, who may very well be the greatest woman I've ever known, and she helped me to realize something. The most important thing I could share was truth. And you all know that truth is relative, but this is my speech, so I'm gonna share my truth. Yeah, so here goes. Once upon a time, there was this girl, and she might have been the most reserved and defensive girl ever. But she had a reason to be. See, by the time this girl hit 3rd grade, she had gone to 8 different elementary schools. She had been evicted more than a couple dozen times. She had become very familiar with ridicule and the judgmental looks from other people, and she was very familiar with what it felt like to be hungry and go without. Now fast forward a few years, and not much changed. Only now, instead of the girl just feeling isolated, we can sprinkle in a little bit of shame, some low self-esteem, maybe a wee bit of self-doubt, and a sense of worthlessness due to circumstances completely beyond her control. Now, these are things that people struggle with every day, but when you're young, right, these are difficult feelings to contend with. They're hard to overcome, and if allowed to define who you are, can limit the person that you're actually capable of being. So life isn't easy, and it most certainly is not fair. Okay, this is a lesson that the girl learned at a very young age, and it's one that she could very easily have let defeat her. But she didn't, and that's because after years of falling down and getting back up, she learned something else too, something far more valuable. She learned that she was resilient. She learned that she had strength, and she learned that she had the power to define who she was and the path that her life took. And this lesson, more than anything else, changed her life forever. See, like the girl, each and every one of you have had to endure difficult times. You've come face to face with loss and uncertainty, and you've all experienced unfairness. And sadly, these are things that will always be a part of your life. Sometimes we invite them through our own bad decisions, and sometimes they are completely beyond our control. But there's one thing that you always have control over, and that is how we choose to deal with the difficulties. We can allow them to beat us down, or we can rise above them. So our girl, she desperately wanted to rise above. She wanted to break the patterns of her childhood and build a better life. She wanted to have a home that was hers, one she couldn't be kicked out of. She wanted clothes that fit and 3 meals a day. She wanted to be able to provide for a family and create an environment that would allow them to flourish. She wanted a lot. But before any of this could be realized, the girl had to do something else. She had to recognize that she had worth, that she deserved the happiness she wanted. And the same goes for all of you. What do you want from your life? Is there something you want to build for yourself, for your future? Do you have a dream career in mind, an ideal home? Now, do you ever feel like maybe your dreams are too big? Like maybe you aren't quite good enough to make them happy, or maybe you should settle for something less? Well, don't do it. Don't ever settle for less than what you aspire, ever, because you deserve happiness. And you can make your dreams a reality. Each and every one of you has value, something uniquely you that makes the world a better place. And you are all worthy and deserving of the opportunity to build the life that makes you happy. But just dreaming about something isn't enough to make it happen. And this was the next thing the girl had to realize. If you want something, you have to work for it. You have to persevere, to not give up, to have grit. Do you know what that is? Do you know what grit is? It's such a small word, but it carries a ton of weight. See, grit is courage, it's resolve, it's strength, and it's humility. It's failing over and over and over and over, and then getting back up and giving it another go. Do you have grit? Do you have what it takes to face the challenges ahead of you, to struggle, to fail, and to not give up? Because the bigger the dream, the more it means to you, the more precious and valuable it is, the harder it's going to be to achieve, and the greater the strength of character you're going to need. Now, the last thing the girl had to figure out might have been the hardest, but one of the most important. If you want to take ownership of your life, you have to first take ownership of your actions. So much of the girl's life was outside of her control, and this made it very easy to place the blame for her failings on others. But eventually she made an important connection. If she didn't take responsibility when she failed, she couldn't take the responsibility when she succeeded. See, if outside forces are holding you back, other people are preventing you from reaching your goals, situations are at fault when you hit a setback, and the universe's hatred of you is why you failed, then it's outside forces that push you forward. It's other people who are the reason you reach your goals. It's the situation, not you, that made that promotion possible, and your success had nothing to do with you. The planets just finally decided to align or something. It's so easy to skirt responsibility when things go wrong, but the truth is that in order to take responsibility for when things go right, you have to take ownership of the successes and the failures that led to them. This is one of those things that is definitely easier said than done. But if you can learn to do this, to admit when you mess up, to own up to your own failings, to take responsibility instead of making excuses, you will have learned one of life's ultimate truths. Success only comes when you allow yourself to learn from failure. So the girl, her story is actually a pretty colorful one. We're not going to go into all of the details. There were a lot of struggles, some self-inflicted and some not so much. There were more mistakes than can possibly be counted, and so many failures that sometimes she felt as if she were moving backwards rather than forward. But she never quit. She never stopped fighting, never stopped pushing herself, because she knew she deserved the life she dreamed of. She knew she was worth it. She knew that this was something she could do for herself and something she could truly be proud of. Now today, the girl considers herself to be extremely successful. She worked her way through college and set out on the career of her dreams. She goes to work every day loving what she does. She has a husband who supports all she does, 2 phenomenal boys who fill her with pride every day, and a home that no one can ever take away from her. And on this day, May 31st, 2019, she has this message for all of you. I know you. I know what you're capable of. I know your worth. And I pray that you know it too. Hold on to your dreams for your future. Do not let them go. Do not let them waver. And do not stop fighting for them. No matter how many times you get pushed down, get back up and push forward. Own your failings, learn from them, and embrace your successes. You've already come so far, but you still have a very long way to go. Life will not be easy, and it most certainly will not be fair. But each and every one of you are resilient, you are strong, and have the power to define who you are and what your path will be. I love you guys all so much. I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life's path and for inviting me to share my truth with you tonight. I am proud of you, and I wish you nothing less than what you dream for yourselves. Congratulations, guys.